for the session today. For the Bhagavatam, we are reading Gajendra Moksha prayers. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunamalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guravai Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swamrupa Kadamayam Dadati Swamadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapat Kamlam Shri Gurana Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sakshritam Sahaganaganathritam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarabhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakhanatavascha Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishmanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhaksha Kripa Sindhu Bheva Patitanam Bhavane Vaishnavyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we all know the fight is going on. It went on for 1,000 years. Gajendra and the crocodile. So Gajendra is the king of the elephants. Trikuta, that is the hill where he was there. And the beautiful garden and a beautiful lake he wants to enjoy with his female elephants. And he's gone to that lake and taking a bath in that, and they're playing in the lake. So the crocodile in that lake actually pounces on him from behind and captures his leg. And now he's the Gajendra, such a powerful being. It's an elephant. He's very powerful. Crocodile is just an animal of the lake water. So, but now he is very powerful because he is in his, actually it says that is a foreign land for an elephant. Crocodile's home is water. So he's very comfortable there. He's very powerful, strong there. And for 1,000 years, they kept on fighting. And he became more and more strong. Crocodile is becoming more and more strong because he's getting the food, he's getting everything. He's in the water. It's his place. It's his home. But for elephant, it was not his home. And he was getting weaker and weaker. And when he thought everybody had left him, his so-called female elephants, his friends, his family, his wives, everybody left him. And there was nothing for him now, but only the Supreme Lord. And it's said in the past, he was a king, Indradimna, by the name of Indradimna. And he had now, due to a curse of the sage, had become an elephant. And he was there, but he remembered the prayers he had learned when he was the king. He had the prayers. That is why it is said that we have the Mahamantra. If we just keep on chanting the Mahamantra and the nursing prayers that we sing every day, and we just memorize them throughout the day and night, it's in our heart, then maybe the next birth, if we don't get a human birth, an animal birth even, we might be fortunate to remember these, like Indradimna was, like Gajendra was. So it's a very beautiful verse here that describes that how the spiritual life can save us. Now fully desiring release from the material life, I offer my respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Person, who is the creator of the universe, who is himself in the form of universe, and who is nonetheless transcendental to this cosmic manifestation. He is the supreme knower of everything in this world, the super soul of the universe. He is unborn, supremely situated Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. He is praying to the Supreme Lord. His prayers of surrender. So one surrenders when one realizes that he is in a foreign land. He is helpless here. So when This is a foreign land for us, not the Canberra, not the New York, not the Tokyo, not Delhi. This whole material world is a foreign land for us. We are the supreme person's part and parcel. Krishna says clearly, you are my part and suffering here. Mame Vanshu Jivalaka Jivabhuta Sanatana, Manashtani Indrani Prakriti Stani Kashati. You are my part and parcel, but you are suffering here because you have got disconnected from me. So that is why you are suffering. Manashtani Indrani Kashati. Mane, he says, you ran out of your mind, and that is why you are suffering in this world. So our suffering is due to our mind, where so many desires take place, and we take rebirth again and again because of these desires. These desires don't get fulfilled, and we take birth again and again. Until we surrender, we learn the prayers of surrender. There cannot be a moksha for us. He was very fortunate, he remembered that mantra and he chanted that, and with his trunk he plucked the lotus flower and offers to Krishna. And when he does that, Krishna has to appear. It says clearly here in the Bhagavatam that none of the demigods, neither Brahma nor Shiva, nobody came for his help. Who came? Only the Narayana, that's clear there, on a Garuda, to protect him. So it's so clear here that he says, I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of the crocodile. What's the use of his body covered externally and internally by ignorance? I desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence. This covering can only be destroyed by whom? By the Supreme Lord, by the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna. Only then we can get rid of this covering of ignorance that is covering us. See, he clearly says, when I'm released from this attack, I intend no more this life. I don't want this life. I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. Prabhupada says, in this material world, every living entity is covered by darkness of ignorance. Therefore, the Vedas enjoin that one should approach the Supreme Lord through the spiritual master, who is described and offered prayers in the Gautamiya Tantra as well. Om Ajnana Timirandasa Gyananjana Shalakya. So who opens up our eyes? That's the Guru. Guru actually opens our eyes. We may be aware of all the scriptures in the world, but they don't affect us. They don't actually penetrate our hearts. Why they do not penetrate our hearts? Because we haven't surrendered to the Guru as yet. Because it's the mercy of the Guru that these things penetrate deep into us, and then we are enlightened. So this is very important for us. Prabhupada makes it clear that one has to approach through the spiritual master. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who with the torchlight of knowledge has opened my eyes, which are blinded by the darkness of ignorance. Although one may struggle for existence in this material world, to live forever, it's impossible. One must understand, however, that this struggle for existence is due to ignorance, for otherwise every living being is an eternal part of the Supreme Lord. So we are the eternal part of the Supreme Lord. We may agree to it or not. Some think, oh, when we die, everything is gone. It doesn't happen. The soul remains, your karmas remain, the reaction of your karmas remain. So how can, the karmas will find you. They go after you, they search for you, and they will find you. The reactions are going to find you. Once I gave a talk on the Hare Krishna TV, it was for the karmas. The karmas it's a boomerang. Every action is a boomerang. The reaction is bound to come, and it will search you, it will find you. The karmas, the reaction of the karmas is going to find you. Wherever you may hide, it will find you. It will knock at your door. You cannot escape from it. Who can help you? It's only Krishna can help us. We might have committed so many, sins, a sinful life we must have committed in the past. How will we get rid of those? Because every sinful act committed is gonna be the dukh in our life, the misery in our life. So every piety, act of piety done in the previous births might bring some happiness here. But the happiness is very momentary. It says only the grief is always heavy. Happiness is very light. It just is like, it may go away. But the grief is so heavy, it carries in your heart, You carry it everywhere with you. Happiness is where you are seated. You get a thing to be happy, you just smile, you just laugh, and then your happiness is gone. When the grief, actually, it's like I always said, grief is like a mountain. It's so heavy. So the distress, the misery is the grief of our life. So who can help us? Only Krishna can help us. That is why these places are like Vaikuntha. The temples Srila Prabhupada built are like Vaikunthas, where everybody is so happy. You may experience it when you're at home. Sometimes you're alone. You feel so unhappy. You have nothing to be unhappy, but still you feel the gloom in you. It feels for the evenings, it's very depressing for me. When I look out, it's so quiet, everybody, it's very depressing. But the moment you are into the temple, the aarti is going on, everybody's dancing and singing, your evenings just fly away. So it is there that because the spiritual energy is there, and when the spiritual energy is there, that can release us from the covering of ignorance. That has the power to release us from the covering of ignorance. So there is no need to live as an elephant or man, American or Indian. One should desire only to achieve liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So Gajendra Moksha prayers actually teach us how to surrender. Being an elephant, he is an enlightened soul. It's Krishna's mercy that he remembers that mantra and he is glorifying Krishna and asking him to come and release him from the crocodile's grip. And Krishna listens to the prayers. He actually listens. That is why Prabhupada said the chanting is the prayer we are offering to Krishna, like a mother, like a child is crying for his or her mother. When we cry for Krishna, we are chanting, we are crying for Krishna to come and protect us. Even when Draupadi, she was being disrobed in the court of Dhritarashtra, she's brought there and she's being disrobed now. Her sari is gonna be pulled away from her body. And she's brought there, and Krishna is in Dwara at that time. He's with his queen Rukmani at that time. And he looks very perturbed, very disturbed. And he's walking to and fro in the room. And Rukmani asks him, why are you so disturbed? What's happened to you? And he says, my best friend, he's Krishna, and she's Krishna. She's the best friend of Krishna. So he says, my best friend, she's in trouble. She says, why don't you go and help her? He says, she hasn't called for me. Krishna clearly says, she hasn't called for me. Why should I go? Because Draupadi had a lot of ego in her. She was very proud that she had one husband, she had 5 husbands. And the 5 of them were very, very powerful, very strong. Arjuna is very strong, Bhima is very strong. So she is very proud that she's not got 1, but she's got 5 husbands, and they would not let this happen. She was very sure about it. When she's dragged into the courtroom, she looks towards them. And Krishna is telling this to Rukmani. He says she's very, very proud. They got 5 husbands, and she doesn't need anybody else. And then when she looks towards her husbands, they actually turn their eyes away. They put their heads down. They cannot help her. They've lost her in the gamble. And now Krishna says, she's looking towards her father-in-law like Dhritarashtra. How would he let this happen to his daughter-in-law? How would the Guru Dronacharya happen this? How would Bhishma Pitama happen this? So she is looking towards them, and Krishna knows it, and he's narrating this to Rukmani. Because she is looking at them, but they are turning their eyes away. They are helpless. They cannot help her. Now she has got a lot of pride in herself. She is a Yagyaputri. You know that she's not born as she's not a natural woman born out of a womb of a mother. She appeared from the Yagya. She's very strong. She's a Yagyaputri. She's very brave. She's clutching her sari with both the hands to not let it go away. But her strength doesn't match the Shasan. She has to let it go. One hand goes, the other hand goes. And when the hands slip away, she raises her hands and she cries like Gajendra cries here. She lifts her hands up and she says, Hey Krishna Laksha Mam. Hey Krishna, please help me. And Krishna appears in a less than a fraction of a second. He appears in the form of sari, the form of the cloth. He doesn't let her to be disrobed in the public, in the courtroom. She's protected. So this is actually how Krishna protects us when we actually surrender. She surrendered at that moment. She lifted her hands. That is why when we put our hands up and we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hey Krishna, Raksha Mam. Hey Krishna, please come for my protection always. Be there beside me. So that is the sincere prayers we chant. So that is what Gajendra is chanting right now. Prabhupada says here, this material world, he says everybody is in danger. Whether you're American or Indian, it doesn't matter. Whether you're in the body of an elephant or a man, it doesn't matter. It's only that one has to work to get out of the cycle of birth and death. One has to work very strongly to get out of the cycle of birth and death. It's a state of emergency. It's not just casual. Bhakti cannot be casual. Devotion life cannot be casual. It has to be very, very sincere, very, very committed, very, very determined to do it. It's not that just some day you can perform bhakti, the other part of the day it's all given up. That I've got 1 or 2 of devotional life in a day and the rest 22 hours are for myself. I go to the job, I've got so much to do. But wherever you go, you have to carry Krishna with you. You have to talk about him to others. It should reflect in your behavior that you are a devotee. You are actually devoted towards Krishna. You are surrendered towards Guru and Krishna. It should reflect in your behavior. It should reflect in you. That's very important. And Prabhupada says here, we are making so many plans, from the life of Brahma and life offered by because of ignorance, we consider every life offered by nature to be happy and pleasing, but in the degraded life within this material world, from the life of Lord Brahma down to that of an ant, no one can actually be happy. We are making so many plans to live happily, but there cannot be any happiness in this material world. However, we may try to make a permanent settlement in this life or that. The life can never be happy. One thing we have to agree. We think, we will live happily. It's there always when we see, olden days when we used to watch movies, it is the prince and the princess meet and they lived happily after. Every ending of the movies, they lived happily after. So nobody lives happily after. It's always, the life is never happy. Life is always full of, we make so many plans. Actually, they fail. Sometime the other, they are going to fail. Nobody will live happily. Because the only happiness, the bliss is where it is at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And that's who makes it, realizes for us, that's the Guru. So I was just going through even the scripture, the Granth Sahib, there is the Gajendra moksha there as well. It's mentioned there very clearly. So I thought I would like to share with you all. And because the time is like 8:30, till 8:30 we have to go on? 8:45. So it says there in the Granth Sahib even, Manre Prabhaki Saran Bicharo, O mind, contemplate the sanctuary of God. Meditate on him in remembrance. Ganika, the prostitute, was saved. We all know the story of Ganika, or later you will know it. Then Atalapayo, Dhruv, Jake Simran Aru Nirbhay Padapayo. So Dhruva, he became immortal and he obtained the state of fearlessness. Dukha Harta, we just read, there is no happiness in this material world, Srila Prabhupada says that. So who is Krishna? What he does, Dukha Harta e vidhi ko swami tai kahe bisaraya. So he says, the Lord that's Krishna, he only removes the suffering and we have forgotten him. He's the only one who will remove our suffering, nobody else. But we have forgotten him. Jab hi saran gahi kirpanid gaj garaha te chuta. So who? That is the Gajendra. Garaha te chuta means he was actually in the grip of the crocodile. So Jab hi saran gahi kirpa nid gaj garha te chuta. So as soon as the elephant, he took the shelter of the Supreme Lord, then only he was actually protected and he escaped from the grip of the crocodile. That was only because of the mercy of the Supreme Lord. There was not his endeavor at all. Krishna showed that your endeavors will be fruitless until or unless you call for me. So here it is clearly mentioned in the Granth Sahib even that all have to actually take the protective sanctuary of the Lord. Krishna is only protector, nobody else. When we have that faith, then only our life becomes, it becomes sublime. And then it says here, Mahima Nam Kaha Lau Barno Ram Kahata Bandante Tuta. So it says here, Mahima Nam Kaha. So how? The glories of the name, he says, the holy name, the glories of that, it's infinite. One cannot, Mahima Nam Kahalo Barnao Ram Kahat, because the glories of Krishna, the glories of the holy name in itself, that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Krishna has put all his transcendent energy in his holy name. All the energy that you see that Krishna is carrying here as Archa Vigraha, he has put them in where? In his holy name. So one who chants sincerely, the moment he chants, Krishna starts dancing on the tongue. He appears there in the holy name. In our bead bags, we carry Krishna. When we are chanting the beads, we are carrying Krishna with us. So, and when we are rolling our fingers on the beads, it's like massaging the lotus feet of Krishna. It's that. When we have that feeling, our beads will become so important to us. So it says here, the importance of the holy name, the glories of the holy name cannot be described, because whosoever chants the name of Ram, his bonds are actually broken away. His bonds, he will really get free from the bonds by just chanting the name of the Supreme Lord. Ajamal papi jag jane nimak mahe nistara. So even the Ajamal, so all the devotees have been mentioned here. So I will again go to then this page is Granth, that is 632. Then on the another page, it is mentioned again about the Gajendra. It says here, again talks of that Gajendra Tyayo Hari Kyo Mok. It starts with the other lines are there, but I'm just cutting it short. It says, for the earlier it says, Torya Santa Jato Charan. So when you take the dust of the lotus feet of the saints, that is the acharyas, the Vaishnava acharyas, when we take the Charan Raj, that is the dust of the lotus feet, then what happens? Le mastak lavo kar kripa den. So that is why we take the lotus dust of the acharyas, Vaishnava acharyas, and put it on our head. So when we touch it here, then what happens? Mercy of Krishna, actually we get that. So it clearly mentions here that Le mastak lavo kar kripa den. And Ganika udri hari kahe tot. So Ganika, she had a parrot. And that parrot actually became for her liberation, that helped her. So that says here, so Ganika, you will read that story again, it will come to you. So Ganika the prostitute was saved when her parrot uttered the Lord's name. And Gajendra Tyayo Hari Kyo Mok. So Gajendra, when he chanted Hari's name, Krishna's name, he was liberated. So it has been acknowledged. It's not mythology. We may think, oh, Bhagavatam is written, but it is not mythology. It has been repeated again and again in the scriptures. This was written 5,000 years ago. Granth Sahib was written 500 years ago. It's again repeated here. Why? Remind us all. So that we actually understand what Gajendra actually was, what he achieved in this lifetime. Being an animal also, he achieved liberation. But it's not, animals don't get liberated. But by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he again did that just 500 years back. When he is crossing Jharkhand, he made all the animals dance also on the Hari Naam. So that is why when we chant the holy name, it is said we should chant that it should be audible. It should be a bit louder. It should not be you should not be murmuring it. Why? Because you can't see many jivas with the naked eye. They are still here. And when we chant the holy name, they get liberated. Prabhupada said in the evening in every temple there should be a Bhagavad Gita class. Because why did he say that? And sometimes there would be, he said, if nobody even turns up, you keep on speaking. Because the walls are listening. There are many jivas here. We may be 20, 25, 30, 40 here. But you know, there are hundreds of the souls which you can't see with naked eye. They do come. There are good souls, there are other souls, those who go to pubs and clubs also. And there are the souls, those who come to the temples and Gurdwara and mosque even. I have attended a session, not a session, a lecture of a devotee he in a Gurdwara, and he was mentioning that they were actually, he had experienced that we may be 30, 40 here, but they can be in hundreds here. Those who want to listen to the glories of the Lord, and they are still hanging around, and they haven't got the liberation, they haven't got a mother or father of the same compatibility with them. That is how they take birth. Good souls take birth. It's said, when a mother wants to conceive, the husband and wife, when they want to conceive, they should actually, Prabhupada made a standard, they should chant Garbdharanskar, they should do it. So why? Because to attract a good soul to the womb of the mother. Such a soul that is compatible, that's a devotee soul that may come. So that is why it is said always in our homes, it was said in the earlier days, all our grandmothers and mothers, they used to tell us that after marriage, when it's time for conceiving, you must go to the temples of the Gurdwaras and pray and spend more time in reading and chanting. Why? Because you are going to attract a soul that is, everybody wants a good soul to come. So that's very important. This proves in itself. That is why Prabhupada said, whether the temples are empty, but you must chant, do the aartis, sing the glories, do the class. Why? Because you're attracting so many, you're actually helping those souls. You're helping those whom you can't see with your naked eye. So our birth as a devotee, we have this responsibility upon us if we have become a devotee. If we really think, oh yes, we want to serve Srila Prabhupada, chanting is the best service we can do. Chanting is the best, actually it is the bhakti starts with chanting only. So it's the main anga of bhakti, chanting. Without chanting, no bhakti. So it's here Prabhupada says, but there cannot be any happiness in this material world. So we experience that and we know it. Many of us, we have seen that in this world there is no happiness. We might have done a lot of hard work. We might have gone around so much, working so hard day and night. We may have a lot of money. We may have everything in excess. Or we may not have even anything, but still we are not happy. So happiness doesn't depend upon the material things. Happiness doesn't depend upon the material relationships. Happiness only depends upon our service to the Supreme Lord. More we serve, more bliss we will get. Bliss is even many steps ahead of happiness. Bliss never ends. Krishna is Sachidanand. So he is the Srotra of Anand. Anand is bliss. So if you really want bliss, you have to actually surrender to the Supreme Lord. And it says here, Bastra Chinat Draupadi Rakhi Laj. So who kept the Laj of Draupadi? That's Krishna again. Who took care of Prahlad? It was Krishna again. Prahlad Rakhi Hari Pay Jab. Re man save tu parhe par. So my mind serve the Supreme Lord. So you shall also be carried across the ocean of nations. You also may go across this ocean. And it says here that everybody had to actually surrender to the Supreme Lord. All the devotees have been mentioned here. Even about Jayadev Goswami, it is here, Jayadev Tyago Ahmev. So Jayadev, Nai Udriyo Sen Save. So there were so many examples of the devotees. So Gajendra is actually, he is praying to the Supreme Lord. These are the prayers of, again I'm repeating, surrender. So we can learn a lot from these prayers that when Gajendra can offer obeisances to Krishna and get liberation, why not do that in this lifetime? We should try at least. We should always try, because if we don't try, the Kartik month is coming, that is the month, it says always, it's the bhakti is on sale, it's on discount. You had to endeavor very hard in the previous months maybe. But this month is gonna give you discounts, heavy discounts. That you just chant once and it's 1,000 times you are going to get back. One round equals 1,000. So what else we need? But we have to chant it very sincerely and with surrender. Chanting has to be done with surrender. It says here again, Gajendra says, I am a respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, the Super Soul, the Master of all mystic yoga, who is seen in the core of the heart by perfect mystics when they are completely purified and freed from the reactions of fruitative activity by practicing Bhakti Yoga. So that's why I said the Bhakti Yoga is the primemost. Heart gets purified by that. Clearly here, who is saying this? Again, these prayers are actually guiding us. They're saying that when they are completely purified by and freed from the reactions of the fruitative activities. So our reactions are the actions, and the reactions actually follow us. It's a boomerang. They don't leave us. We have to actually, what we have sown, we are going to reap that. So whatever we did in the past is not going to leave us. It is going to come after us. But how do we actually react to it? One has to learn the art of reaction. Bhagavad Gita teaches us that, how one should react. Here it says clearly, from the reactions of the fruitative activity, one has to get freed from them. From the sakam karmas, whatever he had committed. Fruitative activities means the activities done for your own sense gratification. You have to get freed from the result of those activities. So how do we get rid of them? Only by practicing Bhakti Yoga. There is no other way out. So only by practicing the devotional service. And devotional service starts with the chanting of the holy name. What the chanting can do, you can imagine even. It can change your life in a fraction of a second. Until Prabhupada was asked once that how many years we have to chant to get liberated. It should be how many years? I've been chanting for so many months, so many days. How will I know now it's the time I'll be liberated? He said, only chanting once very sincerely you will be liberated. Just once even chanting. But that chanting has to be very pure, very sincere, very surrendered. So we are actually practicing, we are chanting, we are practicing our chanting so that it becomes the perfect one day. And when it becomes perfect, we will be liberated. So we are actually trying very hard. And there, Gajendra is guiding us that yes, practicing Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is so important. We just think of, we'll do the rituals, Some people, I was yesterday also telling, some may say, only the rituals, they perform rituals. You go to other Hindu temples, they are more into the rituals. They go into the rituals, they will perform so many havans and the Pandit will come and read a katha to you. I've attended, sometimes we are invited and we have to go there and see what's happening, and it's really, we feel so much, I would say, anger in us that we really want them to understand what Bhakti Yoga is. But sometimes we can't make others understand because their karmas are coming in between. What they have performed, their karmas actually, the don't let them understand. We are very fortunate that I once asked my Guru Maharaj, because he was my mentor, so I would ask him directly the questions that came to my mind. I did not have any senior Vaishnava to talk to, it was only Guru Maharaj. So I would ask him. When I became a devotee, I said, I had lost my father at that time and I had become a devotee. And I was so attached to him, that is why I had so many questions in mind, and I asked my Guru Maharaj, in my family, only I became a devotee. And I could have gone to like others in my family, I could have gone to hotels and clubs and pubs, I was in grief at that time. I could have forgotten my grief if I had gone there. What brought me here? How did I come here? And then he answered, because in your karmas, you must have done a lot of piety. In previous births, you must have done a lot of piety. And that is why you were not attracted there at the time of grief, and you came here. So that was the answer he gave me, and that satisfied me. Yes, I read that in the scriptures. Yes, it is what he said. He said, you must have done, because when our piety, when our punyas, they are more than the sins, then the bhakti will give you, and Krishna will give you an opportunity. You're just given an opportunity. If you don't take that opportunity, it might go away. And that opportunity was given, and when you grab it and then you will be liberated one day. One who starts walking on this path, one who starts saying Krishna once, even when he says Hare Krishna, he has actually walking on this path. And one day he will reach the end. It will be the end. The liberation will come according to your pace. How quick you are walking on this path, how fast you are on this path. And that is why Srila Prabhupada said, even if you close your eyes and run on this path, you will not fall down. You will not be at loss. We think, oh, sometimes we have to keep a balance, not doing so much of service. When we have a family, we should keep, many people come to us and say, we need to keep a balance. But there is no word as balance. It's always imbalance. You have to have, when you see the weight scale, Konsa palana bhari, which one is heavier? The greater, the heavier, the greater. So if the spiritual life is heavier and greater, so you're on the right track. You are actually getting detached from the material life. So one should actually follow this, that one should run on the path of bhakti, but with very care. It has to be with lot of care, and because padam, it says every step there is khatra, danger. Every step there is danger. You can fall on any step. So one has to be very careful, though he's running, but one has to be very careful. So that is how bhakti yoga is very important in life. And here Prabhupada says, sometimes bhakti yoga, Krishna consciousness is preached to the common man. People argue, where is Krishna? Where is God? Can you show him to us? In this verse, the answer is given, that if we are sufficiently intelligent, and we must know that there is someone who has created the entire cosmic manifestation, who has supplied and has become the ingredients for the cosmic manifestation, who is eternally existing, but is not within the cosmic manifestation. Simply on the basis of this suggestion, one can offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Lord. This is the beginning of devotional life. When you understand that if there is a creation, there is a creator, there has to be someone. It cannot just come up on its own. So there is a creator. Those who understand this, aham sarvasya prabhu mata sarvam pravartate iti matava bhajante mama bodhumava samanuvita. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I am the source of everything, I am the cause of all the causes. Those who understand this, they are very intelligent. So aham sarvasya prabhu matha sarvam pravartate iti matava bhajante. Those who do my bhajan, when they understand this, those who chant my name, those who have understood this, I am the cause of all causes, they surrender to me. And they are the most intelligent one. And like I said, it's the same in the Granth Sahib. It says, Jimman antar harpita sojana sugadasiyane. Those who have the love for Hari in their hearts, they are the most intelligent one. And as we read, do the discussion on Nama Prans in the morning, we read them. We should not commit these offenses. It says, not to a faithless person you should sing the glories of the Hari Nam. So in the Gurbani, it's chanted there, Murkha nal na lujiye. It clearly says, those who are not remembering Hari, they are not intelligent. They are fool number one. So don't get entangled with them. So we should not be entangled or get, ulajna means that you go and argue with them. They say there is no Krishna and you say there is, so there is no need to argue with them. It is clearly mentioned in the scriptures, the similarities come. Jinmanantar harprite. Those who are singing the glories of Hari are the most intelligent. And Krishna himself declares, they are intelligent, they are singing my glories. They know I am the Supreme Lord, they surrender to me. So we are very fortunate that we have Srila Prabhupada who guided us. And we could surrender, we're trying to surrender. Everybody is in some way or trying their hard to surrender. So we should always try our level best. We should put our level best. Because if we are practicing bhakti, we have to give our level best to it, then only we'll see the results. If you're not giving your level best, because this is, you're going through like in examinations when you are preparing for a subject. If you don't give your level best to the subject, you will not get the result what you desire. Sometimes people say, Oh, I've been chanting for so many years, I'm not getting the result what I wanted. You see, you have taken admission in a primary school and you want the result for a PhD level. How will you get it? It will take time. It will take, you have to understand so many things. You have to experience. Bhakti is experience. It's experiential knowledge. Bhagavad Gita, it says clearly that this is experiential knowledge. It's not a knowledge that just you read it, mug it up and you will get it. It's not that kind of exam. It's an exam that is going to happen is practical. Science, when we give science practicals, it's like you have to give a practical. It's a practical knowledge. One has to put it into use. It's a manual for human life. So manual means the life is a machine, this body is a machine. So how to operate this machine, this manual was given. So when we use this manual with care and read it with full attention, then you can use this machine fully, like you microwave at home. So when you get microwave, you don't even care to read the manual. You're using it for purpose of heating only, so you would understand that much only. If you will go through the manual completely, you will understand it has got other features also. 99% people, they only use it for heating, that's it. They don't know the rest use of the microwave. But it's got a lot of other uses as well. So if you read the manual, then you understand. But likewise, these are the manuals. If you don't read them, if you don't understand them in the association of devotees, then you cannot operate this machine to the fully utmost use. Then you will be just using it for like eating, mating, sleeping, defending. These 4 things you'll be using it for. But if you want to really get out of these 4 things, then you have to follow the 4 regulative principles and the chanting. So you will get out of the cycle of birth and death. You will understand the real meaning of these scriptures, what they want to tell us. So we can take some questions. It's 8:30 for 15 minutes. Some question answers can be taken. Anybody would like to say a comment? Yes, Mataji.
This was a question from yesterday. Is it okay if I ask?
Yeah, no problem. As long as the Prabhu says he's the head here.
Yesterday it was so time was.
Yes.
So, you were saying, Mataji, that anger and lust, anger, greed goes away as we start Krishna. Gradually, as we chant but in my experience, Mataji, I can see that it's coming up more, especially. So is it I'm not doing it's something wrong doing, or of course it's not pure, I know that it's not. So can you guide on that?
Anger is coming where? In the material world you are giving, you're angry on what?
So angry in the sense like grahastha, something told not in favor of me or something, then we get.
So nothing should agitate you. If you are reading the scriptures, you know that it is momentary, it's material. Why you are getting agitated? It will go away on its own. If somebody says something, you don't like it, you should move away from there rather than being angry, because anger makes you the victim. The other person is not the victim, you are victim. You carry the grudge in your heart. So anger I do a session sometimes on anger in the coming days, maybe on Monday or somewhere in the year. I do therapy kind of a session on anger management. We do that. It'll take time if I do it here right now. We don't have time for that. But anger is actually, we must understand, it will always end up in regret. It must have. You must have noticed that. Everybody knows. And we all repent. Once you're angry, you repent. So it's better not to repent, not to regret, be cautious early. And we should leave the place and take up to the chanting, go away, rather than being angry. So because anger is Krishna says that, it's a sarvbhakshi papi shatru. It's a sarvbhakshi, it means it eat up of everything. Once there was a war going on with the good things and the bad things, the bad elements and the good elements, like truthfulness, and there is dishonesty, there is anger, and there is, when people are not in gratitude, they're selfish. The good quality is being in gratitude. Selfishness is again a demonic quality. So demonic and the divine qualities were at war. So whatever was being sent, it was being defeated by the demonic qualities. And demonic qualities the demonic qualities were sent, were being defeated by the good qualities. And anger is a demonic quality. It's the topmost demonic quality. And anger was getting very angry. He was telling, send me, I will eat up everything. Why don't you send me? I will finish up the truthfulness, I will finish up the honesty, I will finish up the gratitude, I will finish up everything. Why not sending me? So anger was actually telling again and again to the master, please send me and I will eat up everything there. So anger has the power to eat up even our bhakti. Anger can destroy everything. Anger can destroy. Yesterday only I was reading a news that was coming up on my phone itself from India. There was a news that there in Bombay, a person was in his car with his parents, and there was an auto driver. He actually brushed his auto with his car in the traffic. Indian traffic is very bad, not at all organized. And the guy from they actually came out of their vehicles and they were in altercation. They started fighting with each other. And then the auto wala, he actually gathered so many people, his gundas and all, he brought them. And they started beating the boy, 28-year-old boy, a married boy, who was driving the car with us. He was beaten up so badly that he died there. So you see what anger can do. Anger, the road rage, it can kill people just for a thing where the auto brushes a car and then just a thing happens. One person has to go die for this. This anger can kill anyone. So we have to actually, this is very much the need of the hour. The anger is never we should be, I'll just in short, I will tell you one incident where Indraduman Maharaj, His Holiness Indraduman Swami, he writes in his transcendental diaries, he was in New York once and he called for a taxi. And when he did the taxi, in New York, the taxi wala, he stopped and he boarded the taxi. As he boarded the taxi man, the driver, he started the taxi. It started rolling and there was a car there who did not notice the taxi. It was parked there. So he also started the engine and he was also on the road and they were about to brush with each other. And that person started yelling at the taxi driver. It was the fault that he did not notice the taxi was stopped and he did not notice the taxi was there and it was also rolling down, driving down. And the other guy, he started yelling at the taxi driver and he was screaming and yelling and abusing him. The taxi wala was very calm. Indraduman Maharaj writes that. He said he was very calm and he was driving down. And then Indraduman Maharaj asked him, why did you not respond to him? It was not your fault. You did not respond to him. Why did you not tell him that you're not wrong? He was at fault. You should have told him. He was yelling at you, he was abusing you. And Indraduman Maharaj says, I really learned from that taxi driver. The taxi driver said, I didn't want to take his garbage. He was giving his garbage to me. Why should I? His anger was the garbage. I did not take it. If I had taken it, I had to give it to somebody. And I would have given to my family, my customers. Why should I take it? I just left it with him. Let him carry his own garbage.
By not responding.
Yeah, the anger is the garbage. And if you don't respond, if other person is angry with you, if you don't respond, he's helpless. He cannot do anything. If you're not responding, you leave the place, he's helpless. He wanted to instigate you. He wanted to agitate you. He is unsuccessful. You did. And Indraduman Maharaj asked him, what makes you so calm? He showed beads. He had beads in the car. But he was a Muslim boy. They also have beads. They also chant. So we should we should respect everybody. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said. Everybody should be respected. We can learn from everybody. So he showed his beads and he showed that I did not take his garbage. So whenever you're angry or somebody's angry at you, leave the place, chant the holy name, don't take the garbage. Because then you ruin your own life. Nothing will happen to him. You will ruin your life because you will take it and give it to somebody. And then the happens. If you yell at your children go to the school, they will yell at their friends. They will give it to their friends. So there's a chain that goes on. So one should not take the anger. You should leave the place. And everything when subsides down, those who are angry, they realize their mistake. They will be sorry for it and they'll come and say sorry to you. It's happened.
True.
It's true. I know it, it's true. We should be, like, you just leave it. I often say, in Hindi there is a muhavara, ye thuk kar chatna. When somebody is angry and they come and say sorry to you, I always say that. Why do you do it in the first place? So they are helpless even because they are given to their sentiments. They are so much out of control. So one who chants at least knows how to control your mind. That's what Krishna is telling us. So we're learning, we should practice this. You know, Yudhishthira Maharaj, when Yudhishthira was learning at Dronacharya's ashram, all the Pandavas were there, Kauravas were also there. Both of them took training from Dronacharya. And Dronacharya told them, go and learn this, lesson that I will not be angry. And the Kauravas, next he asked the class, he asked everybody, have you learned the lesson? Kauravas say, yes, we have learned the lesson. One should not be angry. And he asked the Pandavas, first was Yudhishthira, and Yudhishthira doesn't lie at all. The Yudhishthira Maharaj says, I haven't learned it. Until I practice it, how can I say I've learned it? I haven't learned it. I need a lot of time to learn this. So you see, learning is not just by rote, by heart. You have learned a line. Practicing, that is the learning. He clearly told Dronacharya. He said, I haven't learned it. So we have to practice to learn it. I hope I answered.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu.
When you said about anger, like it happens like
Fraction of a second.
day, like
Yes.
you just react and then
Yes.
you think like, oh, why I did this? I was not supposed to be doing that. So what is like to happen?
So what can we do for that fraction of a second?
Because sometimes
We have to actually use our intelligence and we have to use it. Literal meaning, we have to use it. Rather than to repent later, we should control immediately.
that means you have to be mindful.
Practice will make you perfect. He tells Arjuna, Abhyaste Konteya. When Arjuna asks, how can I control my mind? When Krishna gives the solution and he says, Abhyaste Konteya. Hey Kunti Putra, you have to do the practice. That will make you. So practice makes man perfect. So practice we have to. So once, twice, thrice, you will repent. When you will immediately say, ask forgiveness, you will learn a lesson that next time I have to be very careful rather than going and asking for forgiveness. You should ask for forgiveness after being angry. Then you will learn a lesson. But if you will just be casual, oh, I got angry, it's okay. You justify your action, then again anger will come. Don't justify your anger. Ask for forgiveness. Go and say sorry. When you will start saying that, then you will learn a lesson. What was that? Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
So we talked about moksha. So what should be the aim or goal for a Vaishnava to attain liberation or Krishna?
Actually, moksha is a very word that the Vaishnavas even don't desire that. They only desire is to serve the Supreme Lord. That's all. Whether they are here or there, in Vaikuntha, in Golok, or here. So we are practicing only seva. That is, we don't desire. Moksha is even for yourself. You are greedy for your own self. So, for the sake of birth and death. But that will be given. That will happen. When we serve Krishna, we will be liberated. That is gonna come. But devotees, they don't actually linger for that. They linger only for the service of Krishna. That should not go away. We should only serve Krishna. That is why I say the 10 Namaprads, in the morning when we talk about them, we say we are aiming what? Krishna Prema. We want Krishna Prema. So Krishna Prema means the love of Krishna. How will the love of Krishna comes? When you start loving Krishna, that is the Krishna Prema. If you are loving, that means love is coming. He is reciprocating. But if you don't love him, you will not surrender, you will not serve him. So reciprocation will not be there. So our only aim is love for Krishna. That we should develop. So Rupa Goswami says that's Peshachini, even thinking of you want to get liberated. We don't want to get liberated even. We want to serve Krishna. in whatever capacity we want to serve. Raja Janak, when he is a Mahajana, when he was liberated, he was actually was going to Golok. On the way when he was crossing the hell, many people were suffering there. And they said, oh, why are we feeling the cool wind, Why are we feeling very relaxed, very calm now? Because Raja Janak was a Param Vaishnava, he's a Mahajana. And because of itself was giving them a cooling. And now he's a Mahajan. He says, if they are getting, actually, their suffering is actually diminishing by me being here standing, by being here. I would like to be here to give others the solace. That is the Mahajana. That is why he's a Mahajana. Vaishnavas are that. They are paradukha dukhi. They get dukhi, they get in distress when they see others, because preaching is the biggest compassion. Preaching happens when you are compassionate. Preaching cannot happen if you are not compassionate. That is compassion, when it's you give to others the solace, what they are looking for, you give them Krishna. That is the biggest solace for them. So that is how it is. Yes, Prabhu.
So does that mean that even I'm attached is this world and doing bhakti, I'll be
Attached in what sense?
attached with maybe asakti in any ways?
We cannot say that, oh, I'm attached to my family, and then still. Family will be a duty. You cannot have the entanglement with the family. You should not, that is a, I don't know, tomorrow we don't have a class. On Monday, if you will, I have a session. If you come there, I will narrate a story, a katha again, to understand this aspect. So today it's already 8:45. So on Monday, if you will attend the session, Monday and Tuesday, now we have only 2 sessions in Canberra. So if you attend that, just remind me, I'll tell that story there. Then you will understand what is detachment in real sense in Grasta life even. Haribol. Yes, Prabhu.
Mother, there's a question
Online.
So there's Dorothy Delta. So she's asking, Hare Krishna Mataji, Sexa Mahal obeisances. I want to ask that why did we choose to fall down from the spiritual world? What were we trying to lord over? We were in bliss and in our pristine state there. What were we really trying to achieve when we decided to fall down?
Prabhupada says that, he gives the answer. Other day I forwarded him the answer. You have that in your phone, but it's there. In my phone it is there. I could have read that answer. In the gist, Prabhupada says that we have fallen down because we have a minute independence. Never takes away. So we have to it's always voluntarily. So we fell down in this world because we wanted to. We were envious of Krishna. We wanted to become a Lord ourselves. And then that is why we were sent to this. It's a reformation center. This material world is the reformation center. It's a prison house where we have been sent to be rectified. So we have to correct ourselves if we want to go back, and we have to surrender voluntarily. And again, somebody was actually asking Prabhupada again and again the same thing. And then Prabhupada said, why are you worried about that? It's by hook or crook you have fallen down here. Now you should focus on how to go out of this. Don't focus on why did you come here. Now the main focus should be how can I go back from it, out of it. So that, yes, we were, because we actually, the minute independence will never be taken away. That independence is to be used with utter, and that is what we are learning here. And that if we will be perfect in that, Krishna will take us back. The doors will open for us. And Prabhupada said, if you chant 16 rounds nicely, I have the back door entry. I have got the key. I will take you all back from there. So that's faith in the words of the spiritual master. That will happen. Because we are surrendered. If we are trying to surrender sincerely, Krishna will bless us, of course. He will take us back. And there is, I'll forward that answer. Please forward, you forward this person, that proper answer we have. Because we often ask this question. Haribol. So we end the session here. Anybody wants to ask?
She has a question.
Do we have time? Haribol Mataji, I just wanted to ask,
I get that we need to surrender our senses to sort of engage in bhakti and become better versions of ourselves. But how do we react with the environment in a way that we're also not getting exploited in the process?
We will be exploited, don't worry. Never, this is just our fear. Somebody will exploit us. If we become humble and weak, it's humble and meek, we become strong. Nobody can exploit us. Krishna is there to protect us. But we have to keep our ears and eyes open. You have to use your discretion. That's very important. It's not just that out of emotions you do it. You have to keep your ears and eyes open, and we have to. Sarabhakti is the one. Chanting will never let you fall down. If you are chanting very sincerely and nicely and with committed feeling in you that you're determined and committed to the Srila Prabhupada, you're committed to the movement, then nobody can exploit you unless you commit some mistake. And that mistake can be when you don't use your discretion. Prabhupada says in the chapters here in the Bhagavatam that a devotee becomes very smart. It's above clever, you know. In Hindi there's a word called daksh. Daksh means the devotee is very smart. It's not the word clever. Clever looks a bit cheap word. The daksh, the smart means he understands the situation. He preaches according to the time, circumstance and the place. That's how it is. And the devotee understands the situation and he reacts accordingly. So it is done in that sense. And one is being humble doesn't mean we should understand. Being humble doesn't mean we are weak. That is actually the strength. Humility is strength. Guru Maharaj showed that to us. I have really experienced. He was so humble that the whole leaders of Iskcon, when they came and they glorified him, they were all talking about his humility. He was so humble. He would never, somebody may scream at him. You know, somebody slapped him in Jude temple. It's in long time back, many years back. He did not say a word. He simply went back to his room. And there was a Bengali person, when Prabhupada was preaching in India, there was a Bengali person who came every day for the discourse, but he was in a very he challenged Prabhupada and he spoke very badly to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada went to his room and Guru Maharaj says, I was there and I told Prabhupada, I was standing, he says, I was in Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada called for Guru Maharaj and said, take this garland and give it to that person. And Guru Maharaj says, I asked Prabhupada, why are you giving my garland? He did not speak nicely to you. He just said so many things to you. Prabhupada said, perhaps I must have in my last birth given him some pain. Please come. Just go and give this garland to him. I want to end up everything. So that is how they never got angry, they were humble. They showed by their own experience. That is how a devotee should be, a person should be. So these are the things, you see. They help us to understand what humility is. It is the Trinadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Sahishana. Someone has to be very sahanshil, tolerant. Very
difficult, Mataji.
It's extremely difficult. But when you have an example before you, when something happens, I just remember that how Prabhupada or how Guru Maharaj did it. So who are we? We're experiencing that kind of humiliation. We are not experiencing that kind of, tough life, like such a tough life they were leading. So that is how I've seen him traveling, like, Guru Maharaj used to say, like 25 years back when I joined, he said that I live in my suitcase. Because he would, in 2 months, when he would go to US trip in Canada, he would visit round about, say, it was nearly, and Russia was also included in that, and he would say, I visit at least 60 cities. In a day, three cities they would cover. Lunch, breakfast somewhere, lunch there, dinner there. Likewise, he said, that's why Russia preaching went on such a great. Because Guru Maharaj learned Russian. He joined a study there. He joined a course there. He learned Russian there. He knew French. He knew Russian. He knew many languages. 7 languages he knew. and he would preach there, and we would see him always to another, like traveling. And when he was in India, it was again domestic, like he was traveling in India. And I had the Rohini temple that has come up now. The Rohini preaching was going on when I joined in 25 years back. Rohini is a place that's near our home. I live in Punjab, it's there. So Guru Maharaj, we would go accompany him to Rohini. He would come there to give a lecture, then people would ask him to come to our homes. And he would keep on visiting people's homes for 5 minutes, like he would visit 10 homes and give a lecture also and go back to the big temple by nearly say midnight. He would come there by 6, 7 o'clock and go back in the midnight, going to 10, 15 houses, at the same time giving a discourse and talking to hundreds of people. That is how the preaching went on. That is how we could make such big temples in Delhi. This was the Rohini part. Then we would accompany, me and my husband would go any part of Delhi with him, you know. So he would go to the East Delhi. Then he would visit again 10, 15 homes and then give a discourse there, talking to people, giving their answers. Likewise, every day, whenever in Delhi he was like 3, 4 days, it was his like routine. And likewise in every town where he went. It was in Gujarat, it was in Surat, he was in Bombay, the same routine, same pattern, and every day morning for Arati he would be at the altar. Never did he miss a Mangal Arati. He would land, at say 10 o'clock at the temple by 11 or midnight, even 12:30 he would be up, 4:30 you will see him in the altar. He will be there, whether he's coming from America, London, anywhere. He was there. He never missed a Mangal Arati. And nobody could compete him in walking. He would walk. We go for Govardhan Parikram with him. He would be walking. We would be running. We all would be simply walking. So that I've seen him like that. Just the last 2-3 years when he wanted to end up his pastime, it was that his health went down. Otherwise, he was just great in his all deeds, everything. So we have learned a lot from him likewise. So we have a lot to learn yet also. Very well. Any other question? That's all? Oh, this little boy has. Yes.
So, how you mentioned in Krishna consciousness, you have to be very careful in taking your steps towards getting liberated. Is there any specific way of doing that?
Wear nice, comfortable shoes. Right? That is being careful, you know? You don't fall down. So wear nice, comfortable shoes to walk. Yes, Prabhu.
Mataji, I have experienced because of everyday life, lots of responsibility and all those things, lacking in the sadhana. So how we can...
That everybody has to work according, like they have to plan out, organize yourself. We know what these things have to be done. So you know the recipe now. Ingredients you know. So how you will make it, the dough, it's up to you now. How you make it your life. That's up to you. The thing that is actually this is something that is Gorankai ki jai, Jagannath Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai. So we have to, it's actually the importance. If you give bhakti importance in your life, will do everything. That's why Rupa Goswami said, what is detrimental to the life, immediately shun it away. Discard it immediately. And what is actually good for devotional life, take it immediately. Immediately, without even thinking about, just take it. Then only you can do it. This is the only form. Something that comes in your way, is it good for bhakti? Immediately take it. It's not good for bhakti, discard it immediately. Throw it away from your mind. That's the only formula. Otherwise, you will be always confused. This is the only formula you have to follow. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gajendra Moksha Surrender Prayers ki jai. God Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Iskcon Canberra ki jai. Jai.